Warning. This video contains words that are outlawed. For your safety, the loving and caring communists of Canada have deleted all forbidden words. All hail, glorious leader Justin Castro, praise and blessings be on his name.
Stefan Verstappen is back with us tonight, and he is the man who put together and is leading others in trying to put together what we call communities, not communism communities, communities of people, of like-minded people who are trying to do one thing, and that's insulate themselves into safe communities. That's it. That's the word. We'll use it. And they don't want to run out of food. They don't want to run out of medical aid. They don't want to run out of guidance, carpentry, all kinds of things. And the community is a self-sustaining group of people who are extraordinary in their commitment, their dedication, their kindness. These are really good people. And every program we've done with Stefan, we have learned more. Hello, Stefan. How goes it?
Good, Jeff. I thought you forgot about me. You were going to shut down for the night.
You know what I do sometimes is think about replaying a program, and I was trying to sneak in an end there, Friday night, or just a third hour ending. So if we rerun it in the third hour, which I do often, it would sound like it was intentional. Ha ha ha. Never mind.
Trying to sneak off work early, huh?
No, I was going to stay, but I just want to. If we play it, let's say in a month. In the third hour, it'll link up with the end of the program. It'll sound right. Anyway.
Yeah.
All right. So how are you? How are you feeling? How's your heart?
Yeah, I'm doing good, Jeff. I'm doing good. I feel fine. Nothing wrong with me. I started weight training yesterday, and I was out on the bicycle today. So, yeah, I got to get back into my beach body. You know, summer's coming.
Yeah. Summer's coming. Yeah, Stefan's going buff on us. Okay.
It's the fifth moon. As you know, I don't follow the Gregorian calendar. It's an artificial time. Same thing with the daylight savings and all that. It's all artificial to throw you off the natural rhythms of nature. And so I count my years by the number of moons, and I started counting way back in October because I knew this winter was coming. I wasn't sure I was going to survive it. I kept saying, I hope I can live through this winter. And, man, it's been trying. It's nearly killed me, as you know.
No, yes,
so I said, 5 moons. Everything, I just got to live through 5 moons. And, well, this is the fifth full moon, and the temperature is like 16 degrees Celsius, which is something like 61 degrees Fahrenheit, which is like summer.
That's not at all like this time of year. We're in winter, and it shouldn't be like that. And I'm watching these storms. They're just popping off all over the place. I guess they started out in Canada, this whole weather system, and moved right straight south, right into the U.S., and it's kicking up a lot of hell right now.
It's our revenge
and by the way,
for the tariffs.
Yeah. For those of you who are thinking that we get reports from people who say chemtrails have stopped since they pulled the plug on U.S. aid money. It's not true.
Not up here.
They're spraying very heavily. I had a note from one of our listeners. He said, Jeff, here in southwest New York, the spraying has been very heavy for days, to the point I'd have to say they are the heaviest I have ever seen since I started watching them around the year 2000.
Yeah, here too. We're just a little bit further north than New York State. And this morning I go out on the balcony and I look up and, I count 12 chemtrails. 12.
Early at what, 6 a.m., something like that?
Yeah.
That's when they stack up. You can see them. You catch them spraying. They start spraying about 3, 4 a.m., and if you get up early, you can see them.
They're crisscrossing all over the place. And, no, they haven't let up on the chemtrails whatsoever.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
And you're wondering why you're having tornadoes down there.
Oh, it's really popping everywhere. I'm sure the people down there, a lot of them are in shelters right now. They should be in these small areas. And these storm chasers it's a pretty strange bunch. They're out there in the dark, driving their cars at 60 miles an hour on 2-lane highways, trying to catch up with a tornado that they can't see. It's funny. Anyway, it's nice to see that people are out doing things, and they certainly are. The weather doesn't deter them. That's why they're out there, the weather. Anyhow, we had a brief exchange, and I was wondering some time ago, if I were to move up there, I won't, but don't worry, I'm not coming. But if I were to move up there, how would the community take in new members, new families, new individuals, new tradesmen, new specialists? How do they get accepted so you don't get penetrated with government agents, which you may have one in there. You don't know. You got several hundred people. So
I don't think we have any agents penetrated, to be honest with you. It's sort of, actually it's very similar to what Masonic lodges do. For example, you cannot just join a Masonic lodge. You have to be invited to join, right?
Yep.
So I was invited to join a Masonic lodge many, many years ago. I wasn't interested. But you have to be invited to join. And it's the same thing with our community. First of all, you can't find us. We don't have a presence. We don't have an organizational name. We're not incorporated. We don't have a website. We don't have, there's no way to find us. And this is done on purpose because typically when governments become tyrannical, and we can see that happening all over the world now, they go after communities. They always have, they always will, because we're the biggest threat to the government. You want to fight the government, you want to battle the New World Order, the deep state, form a gardening team. They hate that shit. Oh my God! If you get together and you plant a garden, a communal garden, oh man, they hate that stuff. Or
I've heard many stories about that over the years. They just they want them gone.
They want them gone, and they've always gone after us. And I just wanted to add a little note to what you said about community, not communism. Well, the thing is that communism took their name from communalism. And the reason they did that was because when it all back in the 1860s and 1870s, when communism was getting started, one of the greatest success stories are autonomous communities, people that worked together, and then you had villages that owned the farm fields in common. All the villagers owned all the farm fields, and they shared all the tasks and that. And these were great success stories. And so communism, in order to sell it to people, kind of hid behind the cloak of building communities. So that's why, we have to differentiate.
Well, we have Mennonites, right? That's a group. That's a community. And there are others. Some make furniture. Some anyway. Those are, I think, originating from the things you're talking about back in the day.
Back in the day, exactly. They were mutual aid societies. Is another way to call it. They were fraternal orders. That's another way you could label it. But basically what they were groups of people that cooperated and worked together and helped each other out. And no matter what you did, you could form your own bank. You could form your own artists' communes. Our communities, galleries. Open up a hotel as a community. They built hospitals. These communities built their own hospitals. You don't need, medical insurance. You don't need Obamacare and that. Get together with 200-300 people and you build your own clinic. Anyways, and these were all very popular and very successful because it showed you do not need the government. The government doesn't do anything anyways, and you don't need them, and we don't need to be paying them all our money to give to Zelensky. And So when communism started, one of the ways they would sell themselves to people, or tried to sell themselves, was that, we're just like all the other, community organizations. We're all about community. And so that's why there's, a bit of a blurring between communities and communism. But, of course, communism is the evil incarnation of a certain tribe of religious fanatics and has nothing to do with community.
No,
so,
fair enough. True.
So, no, you can't find us. Because why? Because, again, government is the enemy of humanity. Every government is the enemy of their own people. It's always been that way, Jeff. I read history. The earliest archaeological evidence of, for example, sericulture, when they began growing their own crops, this occurred at the same time that defensive walls were being built. The invention of the plow occurred at the same time as the invention of the iron sword. So, these things have gone hand in hand, and government has always been about violence and control from the very beginning, and that's why, we have to separate ourselves as much as possible, detach ourselves from depending on the government, which, of course, is exactly what the government hates. That's why they hate communities, because we don't need them. And when things get rough, they will come for you. I tell people, work together and cooperate and support each other and help each other and do acts of charity.
So let me rephrase this. How does the community grow and add new members? How does that process work?
It's really
There's no midnight ceremony. I know that.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you have to sacrifice a virgin on Halloween, and then we'll,
Oh, no.
No, there's nothing like that. It's just word of mouth. It's just people we know. The thing is, the first prerequisite to joining our community is you cannot have been injected with a certain experimental medical drug. You know what I mean? We can't say it because, oh my God,
I won't say
you get
it.
all the strikes. So, because after all, look,
I won't say the other thing.
Jeff, now I got to edit that out when I upload this. Okay, I'm going to have to put
you
a
actually
big
do?
leap through what you just said.
You actually do? I'm sorry. I didn't know.
Yes, I actually do. Yeah,
Canada's such a wonderful place. I didn't have any idea.
Jeff, knock it off, okay?
Go ahead.
No laughing matter. No, I have to put a bleep through it. I put a tone through it, because if you mention that, I will get kicked off, and I've already got I don't know how many strikes against me. And
now, this is which platform are we talking about?
All of them. All of them. No, all of them. Even
wait. Are you saying that? Hold on. X, for example, the bastion of free speech. You can't say that on X?
I don't know about X. I doubt it, because there's one thing that everybody gets really touchy about, and that is talking about certain pharmaceutical companies and their products.
They still do after 5 years of dealing with this crisis. Well, I didn't know. I don't go to social media. I'm completely. I'm not attached to it.
Well, I told you that when I was in the hospital, there was a big. There were signs everywhere saying there was a COVID outbreak in the hospital. And I'm going, what? You're really going to try and put that on us again? 5 years later, you're going to try it all over again? That's when I told my doctor. I said, listen, sorry, no offense, but you guys have no credibility left. Why would I believe anything you say after you went along with that fraud? But, they're trying it on again. They're going to try it again. And Canadians are, I want to say a special brand of stupid, but I hear the same thing from people in Australia, people in England, people in France. We've all been so programmed, and dumbing down the education system and the mind rot of media and So, 85% of the world's population are NPCs. I'm sorry, that's the way it is, and nothing you can do about it. So, yeah, no, they're trying that again here.
Huh. Well,
anyway,
sorry.
so how do we get members? Well, it's mostly through word of mouth. We know people, we meet people.
In other words, let me shorten this. So,
go ahead.
You don't see a U-Haul truck arriving with a family of 4. That's not how it works.
No. We don't do anything like that. Well, I'll give you an example. For example, my neighbor that lives above me, lovely woman, and she's a real sweetheart. She grows catnip on her balcony, and in the summertime, she lowers a small basket of catnip on a rope for my cats.
Yeah.
So I was sitting on the balcony, and this little basket comes lowering down, and of course my cats know what's going on now, and they start meowing and carrying on, and she's a lovely woman.
That's funny.
But she got the vaccine, so she can't be a member of our community. This was a big IQ test, all right, 5 years ago. Are you going to go along with the government mandates, in which case you're a mindless slave to the system? And if you're a mindless slave to the system, how can we trust you? How can we trust somebody?
You can't resist peer pressure and fear, so how are we going to trust you?
Exactly. All those things come into it. Either you're a mindless slave, or you can't resist peer pressure, and so this is a big battle we're in, Jeff, as you well know, and part of the battle is spiritual, and so we need people that have the ability to critically think. If you don't have the ability, what the Christians call discernment, if you can't tell good from evil, then what good are you? For example, we've had for 8 years a man in a dress running around the White House as First Lady, and you had all these military guys standing at the chopper saluting them. Come on, it's a guy in a dress. How can you have any credibility? How can you have any pride in your service to your country when you're saluting some guy in a dress? What do you want me to say?
If they put that in a movie 30 years ago, people would have been on the floor laughing. Now they accept
I know, and even still, now she's come out with her podcast.
I read a review of it, and it apparently it was off to a brutal start. Was the exclamation I saw. A brutal start. Yeah.
I watched a review of it too. I wouldn't watch it myself, but I listened to a review, and she's still pretending to be a woman. I mean, come on. I think Joan Rivers gave it away. We all know now, Mike. We all know. Yeah. Everybody knows. You killed the chef.
That chef thing was another really strange thing that people just looked the other way.
Look at the lunatics that run. So what do you want me to say? Like, if you can see all this and think it's normal, then no, you can't belong to our community because it's not normal. We need people that can see things clearly.
Look how that has been accepted as normal.
Yeah.
Look how many other things have been accepted as normal, none of which should have ever been able to get out the door, let alone be accepted. I agree.
Yeah.
It's too late.
And then,
I do think it's too late. I don't want to sound defeatist. I'm not a defeatist because individually we can still survive and prosper, but we've got to be smart about it. Please
absolutely.
Continue.
Jeff, this is what I've been trying to do. Okay, forget about America's gone. It's not coming back. But it doesn't mean that we are gone. That Jeff is gone. Okay, America's going down the toilet. Jeff is not going down the toilet. Jeff is going to do what Jeff does. which is rage against the dying of the light, right?
Yeah, we do our best here, all of us.
Yeah, we do what we can, right?
Yeah, that's right. It's up to the individual to make the decision. It's not up to me or you or anybody to tell people what to think. Unfortunately, about 70+% of Americans do what they're told, and that's a fact.
It's probably closer to 90%, but anyways. So that's that part of it. So, well, listen, I managed to recruit 3 members to our community. They heard me talking on the Jeff Renz show, and they sent me an email.
Actually,
and they said,
Stefan, it's a program, but that's okay.
I'm sorry. I prefer show, but anyways, you want to call it a program?
I've always called it a program. Over 30 years. It's a program.
All right, the Jeff Renz program.
Hey, Peep Show, Tom and Jerry show, right? I just don't like show.
Well, no, I don't think it was that way.
It sounds cheap to me. I know you don't. Go ahead.
No, I never think your show's
I'm just having a little fun, but I do not like that term. I never have. Anyhow,
okay, well, the
ahead.
Jeff Renz program, that's where they heard me. And they sent me an email, and they said, well, we live in Oxford County, and we're really interested in your community. So I said,
how close are you? How close?
Exactly. That's one of the first questions. Remember, everybody has to be within like a 30-minute drive of our central location, right?
Mm-hmm.
So there were people that were, like they're an hour away. They want to join our community. I said, yeah, but you're an hour away. The community is meant to, when things hit the fan, that we can cooperate and work together. And if you're that far away and we don't know if there's going to be gasoline or transportation, how are you going to become part of our community? Or how are we going to rendezvous with the rest of the gang kind of thing, right?
Right.
So you got to live close. So all 3 of these people were very close. One in Woodstock and one in London, and that's in the heart of Oxford County, so they're close enough. And then, I asked them questions. What did they do for a living? And 2 of them are naturopaths. So I said, okay, let me, perfect for our medical team. Yeah, we'll have naturopaths. And they already offered to treat any of the members for free because everything we do is for free. And so then I ran their name past our chairman, who lives in the city that they live in, and she said, "Oh, wow! We know these girls. They work at the clinic there, and they specialize in prenatal care, and they got a good reputation. And we know, the receptionist that works in the office." And she said, "Yeah, they're always talking about, the government and conspiracy theories, and they won't take the big V." And okay, so then we met them and we spoke to them, and so okay, they're accepted. That's it. But again, it's they communicated with me, but then we checked them out, and they have a good reputation. And the other guy too, Justin, he's probably listening tonight. He drives a tow truck. He says, "Do you need a tow truck driver?" I said, "Sure, why not?" And he came over to visit me, and I sat down with him, and I've seen him now 3-4 times. He's come over here, driven over here to, we sit on the deck at Dixie's house, and we talk, and he's a good guy. So he's welcome to join. So that's how we get members. We talk to people. If we see somebody that we think, they're sort of expressing our ideas about the world, fighting the New World Order and not giving in to government and not believing every nonsense they see on TV, well, then there's a good chance that you can fit in. Then the next thing we do is I made up a questionnaire, 25 questions that you fill out. It's for yourself, not for us, but it asks you to list your skills and expertise in 5 different areas. Just rate yourself. 1, you don't know anything. 5, you're an expert on the subject. So, how about hunting? 0 or 5. How about emergency medical care? 1 or 5, and so on down the list. And then add up the numbers, and whichever category you seem to dominate, that might be the best team for you to join, because we encourage members, you don't have to, but we encourage members to become part of a team. So, as you know, we've talked about this before. We've got the nutrition team, which is all about gardening. We've got the medical team. We've got the communications team. We've got the security team. We've got the political team, which goes around and, protests and sits in on local municipal council meetings and things like that. So fill out the questionnaire and see, what skills you have and where you would fit in, and then we'll bring you into one of the teams. And so that's how we run that. But you really have to just kind of be lucky and know somebody who's already part of the community. Otherwise, we don't recruit. We don't go out and ask people to join.
I understand. Yeah, I got it. Do you see evidence of people trying to physically move closer together, kind of amalgamate geologically?
No, but I encourage it. No, but I do encourage it. Mm-hmm. Look, it's take the example of the Amish. I mean, they are experts at forming communities and living off grid.
Right.
Now, there's various levels, various degrees of Amish. Some have some technical equipment, and others, eschew any kind of technical equipment. But either way, listen, they're off grid. They know how to farm and raise cattle and make their own furniture. I mean, they're quite amazing. But what do they do? They move to the same area, right? So then they'll, and again, by using, with our communities, you can start your own, what we call a lending club or a lending society or a private bank. You form your own private bank. You have 100 members. Everybody kicks in $1,000. Now you have $100,000 in your bank that you can loan out to people and charge some interest so that the money.
You know how they do it
in.
here. If you have $100,000 on deposit, you can loan out 10 times that amount, even though it doesn't exist. You're literally creating money and loaning it.
Yeah.
All you need is 10% on deposit. Yeah. Multiply that amount by 10, and that's the amount of money you have in your banking institution to loan out to people. That's how they create money to loan out at interest.
Yeah, and my understanding is that the 10% isn't even required anymore. They dropped that regulation. So
I haven't heard that, but I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, I heard that. Don't quote me on it. I haven't confirmed it with my own research, but I do remember hearing that. It used to be 10%, yes. But they might have dropped it down to 1% by now. Certainly the big banks, they don't have 10% of what they lend out in deposits. Of course not. But so what the Amish do and what communities can do is you can form your own. Anyways, it's like a bank.
A credit union.
Credit union, thanks, Jeff. Yeah, I always forget that. So you form your own credit union. I remember when I was younger, my mother was part of the Dutch credit union, and it was a credit union for all the Dutch immigrants that came here. Yeah,
good. Yeah.
So
there are a lot of credit unions out now. I urge people to patronize them. They're usually local in the community. Speaking of community, so yeah.
So the Amish have something like a credit union, and they'll help other Amish to buy properties nearby where they are, so that they, they'll own 5 or 10 farms in a certain area, and then they help each other out. And so yes, we got to move closer to each other. That might be one of the ways to do it. Like that's why I moved to this part of the country, is because I was going to be closer to people that I trust. I could have stayed in Toronto, and what
It's
would
common
I
sense, Stefan. There's no formula required here. It's just common sense. Birds of a feather flock together, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
So
It's something I would like to see happen here in the formerly United States, vis-a-vis counties in states voting to withdraw from the states. Now, in Oregon, which is vile in its communist constituency, mostly on the center to the western half of it, on the left side as you look at a map image.
Mm-hmm.
That's where the liberal elements are. In Eugene, in Portland, in Salem, most of it's in the north, a little bit in the south, but 13 counties in Oregon have voted in real elections to leave Oregon and become part of Idaho. They want to move the Idaho border west to incorporate and include those counties. I contacted them and said, why would you do that when Idaho, one rigged election, could end up with a bad governor, let's say. I'm not going to go any further than that, but elections are what you're counting on are elections to preserve and sanctify your security. Why not just pull out of the state and form your own state of Eastern Oregon? And they gave me some example that didn't make a lot of sense. I didn't like it. I don't think there's any reason to join Oregon to any part of Oregon to Idaho when Idaho could. Idaho's got a lot of communists in the Coeur d'Alene area, in the northern part, I understand, up at the top, and it's not good. So why would you want to join a state that's fighting already with the same kind of communism that you're trying to get away from? Just file the papers, go through becoming your own state. 13 counties, plenty of room. It's about half the state geographically. Could make Eastern Oregon, and they're all connected to each other physically. I don't think there's maybe just one county that's not connected border by border to another county that has withdrawn. So anyway, Eastern Oregon's a very good idea. I hope people will look into that more. Go ahead.
Well, I'm all in favor of it, but it's never going to happen.
Chances are small. Yeah.
No, because and the other thing is, you're still going to be part of this system.
Yeah.
And if anything like that comes anywhere close to happening, well, the government will move in. There'll be a bunch of false flag attacks and a bunch of tornadoes and bad weather. I mean, they'll go after you. They'll destroy anybody that tries to do something like that. And you can't fight them. But you can fight them if you have a whole underground movement. And that's the point of these autonomous communities. It's not just, our community, okay, we got 100 people, all right. We're not going to make any difference. We can all vote to succeed to the United States, which I'm all in favor of. I'm happy to be the 51st state, thank you very much. But if that ever happens, 90% of Canada will move south. In 6 months, Canada will be deserted. So that's never going to happen.
Explain that. What do you mean?
Well,
if
because
Canada becomes
a hellhole.
The 51st state, the Canadians who are now Americans will just get the hell out. They want to leave.
Yeah.
They'd move to America now if they could. Is that what you're saying?
Oh, absolutely.
I see.
Myself included. I tried to escape America 5 years ago, as you know.
Mm-hmm. I remember.
And I ended up here because they wouldn't let me in. And I'm still paying for it. I went to the United States last Friday.
The formerly United States.
Yeah, no, I went to Michigan.
Mm-hmm.
Last Friday, I had to go, and so I rented a car, and I drove to what's called Port Huron in Michigan, because I had a meeting there with Social Security Administration. I had an appointment with them, and when I got to the border, Jeff, oh my God, they interrogated me for an hour.
They being the border crossing
Customs and Border Agency, United States Customs.
Did they have you on a list? Were you
yes,
on a list?
They had me on a list.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they pulled me over right as soon as I got to the booth. I handed them my brand new passport, and they said, "Oh, you better pull over there." And so then they brought me in, and for an hour they interrogated me. I couldn't believe it.
No kidding. No kidding.
Oh yeah. Oh,
they put
my
you
God,
in a room and gave you the third degree. How did they handle it? Were they Mr. Nice Guy or Mrs. Nice Guy? What was it?
It was just one guy, but he was all, and he
all
was a white
business?
guy too. I was really disappointed in him, because look, here I am. I'm a senior citizen. I'm a white man. I look rather distinguished.
Yeah.
I look rather distinguished. I got a sort of a Hemingway-esque look about me. They know I'm a writer. I have
you don't come across as anything less than that. So this is interesting. I'm kind of curious what kind of questions he was asking you. So please tell me a little more.
Oh, all about my wife and everything like that. Well, why are you going to Social Security? And, well, it turns out, believe it or not, Jeff, I am eligible for a pension from the United States.
Well, you were here. You worked. You paid into it, right?
Well, not exactly. I'm entitled
to
a...
She did. That.
She did, right? So spousal benefits, it's called.
Gotcha. Yeah.
So, okay, well, spousal benefits. I looked into it. I had telephone interviews with agents in Baltimore, and anyways, they all said, yeah, you qualify. This is how much money we're going to pay you. Well, it's twice the money
worth a trip to Michigan. Got it.
Twice the money I get in pension from Canada. I get $600 a month pension here in Canada.
Yeah.
And the U.S. pension is $1,200. So, yeah, I got to go. I got to go. So they said, okay, you're all qualified. We filled out the application and everything's all right. The only thing you have to do is go get your Social Security card. I said, okay, what do I got to do? Well, you got to go to the United States. Screw me, Jeff. Do I want to go? After being turned away at the border there 5 years ago, it was humiliating. Now I got to go back. So, well, because I was turned back, I'm on the list. So they asked me all kinds of questions. Well, how come, where's your wife now? I said, I don't know. California, I think. What do you mean you don't know? I said, I don't know. She left. She didn't tell me where she was going. Jeff, what do if you want to ask questions about my marriage.
I don't want to drag you through this. This is enough. That's plenty.
Yeah, no, but he had to know
doing his job, was he? Uh-huh.
Yeah, he's doing his job. So he knows listen, I passed an FBI background check. I had to get one when I got my firearms license in Canada. In addition to passing Canadian RCMP background check, they said, well, we can't give you the license yet. I went, why? Well, you spent 14 years in the United States, so we need you to pass an FBI background check.
Uh-huh.
So I had to go get fingerprinted at an office here in Toronto run by a couple of former FBI agents, and they sent it to the States. And I got the results back. No record. And no record means they have
I understand.
Yeah.
No offenses.
So,
I got it.
Yeah. I've never been in contact with any law enforcement ever in the United States.
That guy that was hassling you predicated on 5 years ago.
Uh-huh.
In that 5 years, you should ask him, how many people have invaded the United States and Canada in the last 5 years?
That's the point I wanted to get to, Jeff. That's the point I wanted to get to.
Go to it.
Yeah, okay, look at me. They know I'm a writer. I'm spotless criminal record, passport.
Yeah.
I gave them copies of the emails sent to me by the Social Security Administration in Port Huron, saying that I'm confirmed for the appointment for Friday at 1:40. Why do you think I'm there? And well, what about your wife? Why did she leave? I said, don't ask me these questions. What's that got to do with anything? Well, I said it was her idea for me to come and get this, which is true. She sent me an email. She said, go and apply for spousal benefits. I know you don't have any money. So, anyways, 3 months of researching and calling and this and that and the other. Finally, I got to go to Port Huron. All right. And he says, well, how do you know it was her email? I said, I know. He said, well, do you have...
Come on.
No, I'm not kidding.
All right.
They said, well, do you have her email address on your phone? I said, I don't have a smartphone. For those who don't know me, I'm a Luddite, okay? I don't have a smartphone. I don't have a cell phone. I don't have a flip phone. I don't want anything to do with all that crap, okay? Because I've seen how it's destroyed people. I have a tendency towards addiction as it is. I don't need that garbage as well.
That's
well, can you show it to me on your laptop? I said, I don't have a laptop either. Well, how do we know that it's your wife's email? We're arguing now about my wife's email address, okay? And then, every 5 minutes, well, okay, go sit down, and then going into the office, and the supervisors are in there, and they're staring at the computer, and they're discussing, okay, come back. Okay, well, can you show us your wife's email address? I said, yeah, let me use your computer there. I'll sign into Yahoo, and I'll get it for you. Okay, go sit down. And then they're discussing things. And he was, okay, come back. And then the guy's putting on some blue gloves, rubber gloves. He says, which is your car? I said, it's the rental one. It's the Volkswagen. Okay, I'll be right back. Go sit down. Jeff, I'm not kidding, okay? And so he goes in there, and he comes back, and he's got 3 of the maps I printed out from Google Earth. I don't have GPS. I don't use GPS. I don't even know how to use those things. I'm old school. I get a road map, And what I'd done was I Googled on Google Maps how to drive from where I am to the office there in Port Huron, and I printed out the maps.
Sure.
He says, well, you got 3 maps here. What's that all about?
Oh, man. Oh.
No, I'm not kidding. I said, well,
I know.
This map is from my house to the car rental place, and this map is from the car rental place to the gold bullion store because I had to cash in a couple of ounces of silver because I had no money. And I said, and then this map is from the gold traders to Port Huron. Oh, okay, go sit down for a while. Comes back, he said, then what's this? He found the letters that the Social Security Administration had sent me, confirming not just the email address, but the other one. And he said, I said, what? He says, is this from? I said, obviously, look at the letterhead. That's the one they mailed me. Oh my God!
Oh man!
Yeah. Okay, go sit down. We got to think about this. So, anyways, finally they pulled me up and they said, okay, we're going to let you in. Now, Jeff, here I am, straight, white man, honest, no criminal record. One they mailed me. Oh, my God.
Oh, man.
Yeah. Okay, go sit down. We got to think about this. So, anyways, finally they pulled me up and they said, okay, we're going to let you in. Now, Jeff, here I am, straight, white man, honest, no criminal record.
Hey.
So, and not only that, not to blow my own horn, but, I've won civic awards for my contribution to American society. I'm not kidding. And 2 of my books, I'm proud to say, are in the Library of Congress. What better person would you want to come into your country? Now, while I'm there, dicking around with these guys sniffing me a new a-hole, how many tens of thousands of Haitians and Somalians and Nigerians and Afghanis, and we've had 20 million of these people come across the border just during the Biden regime, but I get stopped and I get sniffed a new a-hole. Honestly,
well, they rifled your car, and when they saw the maps, they probably started thinking of hidden bombs, and you're going to drop these bombs off or blow the car. I don't know. These people are paranoid pinheads. This is awful.
Oh, yeah. Paranoid by an old white guy who's a well-known author and contributor to American society. I mean,
and talk program guest too.
Yes, and a talk pro. Like I'm going to refer you to the customs said for sure they won't let me in.
No, you don't want to
country.
mention me. No.
No, I'm not using you for a reference. Anyway, so I got in there. Okay, so everything went well at the office, and they're going to mail me a Social Security card next week.
Oh, you paid your price to get that. That was not easy. That's disgusting.
No, it was hair-raising to get over the border. Yeah. And I knew it, Jeff. I knew I was going to have trouble. Yeah. And, like for a week, I'm going, I got to go to the States. I'm not looking forward to it. I know they're going to give me a hard time at the border because they turned me away 5 years ago. And because I didn't have the little card to admit that I'm a moron. Anyways, this is the world today. This is the world today. I'm treated like a criminal, but 5 million Haitians come into the country and they get cash and prizes.
They're given everything. Yes,
they're given everything, and they don't even have a passport.
No.
So this is the state of the world, but I'm used to it because this is the fact now, Jeff. If you're a good, decent person, you are persecuted in this world. That's all there's to it.
I think what you just shared is indicative of exactly that mindset now. When you give somebody with a 101 IQ any kind of power over the normal people out there, they're going to make them sweat. That was despicable to hear. Thank you for sharing that. That was very important.
Oh, I'm glad you like that story. Yeah, but anyway, this is the way it is,
I know.
Decent white
Stefan,
people, not allowed.
It's true. Talk to you next month. You take care of yourself, and I hope the rest of the Social Security process goes through without any horrible glitches. That was. I'm glad you're getting the funding. You need it. You deserve it. That's great.
Yeah, you can't live on $600 a month.
No, not a chance. Let me know what happens, please, and we'll talk.
I will, Jeff. Thank you, buddy.
All right, my friend. Okay. Good night.
Talk to you later.
Stefan Verstappen. What a scene. What a scene. And I'm sure many of you listening have stories probably just as horrible or worse. The bureaucracy. Wow. We will now wrap it up for the week and be back on Monday. Thank you for being here. I hope the content of this week's programming was good for you. Something for everybody. I always try to mix it up pretty good. So we'll talk on Monday. In the meantime, the network will be carrying forth, as always. So thank you for everything, and thanks for being here, and we'll talk soon.
Warning, our neurosensors have detected subversive thoughts. We will now activate our 5G control towers and erase the last 42 minutes of your memory. Stand by.